Alright, I made a video earlier. I just tried to do a response to it that was way longer than I intended because I started babbling because I get kind of worked up at times. Which is the reason I make these videos, is to help me vent a little bit. You notice I never ask people to subscribe. I never ask people to like. Any of that kind of stuff. I don't ask people to share them. If people watch them, get something from them, or we can have a reasonable, honest discussion based off something I've said or something you have to say about it, I'm all for it. That's the reason I make these videos, though. A lot of it is just so I can vent. I can talk to the camera, get things out of my system. But I made a video earlier today. Why atheists post videos, debate, and argue with theists. In that video, I mentioned confronting street preachers as one of the things that some atheists do. Now remember the word confront. I talked about one of the reasons I do what I do, and I argue with theists, and I get on YouTube and debate people in comment threads and stuff like that, is trying to stop the lies, or to at least put truth up there against the lies that some theists are telling, in an effort to either bolster their own beliefs or spread their belief to other people. So I got a reply, which is okay. Like I said, that's the reason, is to get a discussion going, but the wording the guy used did kind of got under my skin a little bit. But what are the lies Christians tell? If you don't know what the lies are, you're not paying attention. To give you a couple of short ones, a guy wrote a book a little over 20 years ago. In it, he used a quote that was supposedly by the founding father, James Madison. Well, there's a foundation that keeps up with Madison's papers, his writings, all his works, everything else. They came back and said, no, this is not a quote by Madison. The guy admitted complete fabrication. Complete fabrication. He just put it in his book because he was trying to convey that, you know, the country was built on Christian morals and founded on Christian values. So he made up this quote by Madison towards that effect. Admitted it was a lie. He then used the same quote in another book later on, but admitted, you know, it was a complete fabrication from the beginning. Nothing but a lie. Fast forward 20 some odd years, the guy on Duck Dynasty, what's his name, Phil, the Patriarch or whatever, I watched on YouTube not long ago a speech or whatever he was giving. He used that quote as though it was truth. Now, he may not have known he was lying, but when you're going to use a quote by somebody in an effort to further your beliefs or further your agenda, you need to know whether it's truth or not. You need to do a little bit of research. You don't just take something somebody else says on faith and say, oh yeah, well, Madison said that, I'll just use it in my speech. There's a level of integrity that you need to try to hold to when you're spreading out information to thousands of people in this manner. So as far as I know, he either didn't know it was a lie or just flat out didn't care. So he had no integrity to begin with. Because he used the exact same quote as though it was truth. Telling a lie as though it is truth is still lying. But he did so in an effort to try to further his assertion that this is a Christian nation. So I guess that's okay. Just like the guy here who was fighting to have a plaque put up, you know, in God we trust in Government Plaza, saying is the country's motto or whatever, and it's, you know, taxpayers don't have to pay for it, it's privately funded, and blah blah blah. It had nothing to do with religion. Yet on his Facebook page, after the fact, after it was approved, it's all about religion and his view that God needs to be brought back into government and everything else. Of course, he couldn't have fronted it as that in the beginning, or instantly separation of church and state. We can't endorse your religions. No, can't go up there. Doesn't matter who's paying for it, we can't put it in a government building. But since he lied about his actual aims and goals, he managed to push it through. So I guess that lie is okay because he got what he wanted accomplished. That's a lie that Christians tell. And I've seen that type of lie used over and over again. The lies that they tell about the theory of evolution and what it means, and the way they misconstrue facts to other people in an effort to keep them from believing the theory of evolution, because they're afraid it conflicts with their claims about creation, which it does, but that's beside the point. It's still lying. Misconstruing the facts is a way of lying. It's being deliberately, intellectually dishonest. It's still showing no integrity whatsoever. And I realize some of these people tell these lies just because they're uneducated, but again, if you're going to open your mouth and preach and proselytize and do these other things and try to portray something as being wrong, then you need to know what it actually says. It's a level of intellectual dishonesty to spread wrong facts, to spread misinformation, to misconstrue statements, to misquote other people, to take half of a quote and not give the other half of the quote, such as the one that's used so much about Darwin and the eye. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but research it. You'll find it really quickly. Theists use the first half of the statement, leave the second half off, because they're trying to make it say as though Darwin was trying to say that there had to be a higher power or whatever, or that it must have been designed. Yet if you read the second half of the statement, he goes on to say that it obviously was not designed, that it did evolve. This is a type of lying. Like I said, if you don't see the lies, it's because you put on your theistic blinders and ignore them. Then, again, the misconstruing of the facts, misconstruing of statements. The guys, after he asked what the lies Christians tell, and, wrong use of the word in the beginning of the sentence, but would your assault on street preachers, okay, back up a minute. Remember when I said to remember the word confront at the beginning of this video? I said confront, not assault. Vastly different meaning. Confront is to confront someone, is to approach them, is to stop them, is to speak. Assault is to assault, to beat. Vastly different meanings. Vastly different meanings. But assault has the more negative meanings, which is why I guess he chose to use that word instead of the word I actually used. Misconstruing the facts, putting words in my mouth, misquoting in an effort to put a more negative light or negative spin on what I had to say. It's all I can see it as. Would your assault on street preachers stop real problems like ISIS and other sects of radical Islam? No. I never said they would have any effect on those. But to me, stopping street preachers who are a real problem, I mean, for instance, I myself, personally, around the age of 6 is when I first accepted Christ and became a Christian. I did so at the time through nothing but fear. It had been so instilled in me that without Christ in my life, if I died, I was going to burn in hell for eternity. That my sins weren't forgiven, so I was going to burn in hell. I was having nightmares. I was scared. So the only way out I saw was to accept Christ into my life, even though I had no understanding of any of it at all. Didn't really even know who Christ was or what a God was or what any of it was about. Didn't know anything about Scripture or what any of it had to say. Had no understanding of the Baptist faith or anything else. But I was all for accepting Christ if it would end this fear that I had. If I could stop having these nightmares. Yet street preachers are out here telling this to strangers and their children. That preacher has a right to his freedom of religion. He has a right to his expression. But he does not have the right to threaten other people. He does not have the right to psychologically abuse other people's children. So to me, that is a real problem. It is a real issue. And don't try to act like Islam is the only faith that has radicals. The groups of Christians that used to wait outside homosexual clubs and beat up gay males when they came out of the clubs as a method of entertainment. Oh, they're homosexuals. God hates them. They're an abomination. We can go beat them up. The groups that bombed abortion clinics, that killed abortion doctors. These were radical factions of Christianity, or radicals within the moderate factions of Christianity. So the other methods I mentioned, the debating, the conversation starting, the arguing, the spreading of free thought, these methods are our best weapon against radicals, because when we stop simply respecting somebody's religious belief, when that belief has no factual basis, no evidence supporting it, no proof that it is true, when we stop respecting these moderates, it closes the door for the radicals. Because by respecting the moderates, it leaves that door open. The radicals can form. So, being in the United States, being American, I doubt there's anything I can personally do about ISIS. The only thing I can do is point out the wrongs within these religions, the evil that they can lead to, such as these radical factions of both Christians and Islams, just like the evangelicals down in Nigeria that have parents stoning their children to death because convincing the parents that the children are witches. Those aren't radical Islams down there, those are Christians. So there are issues with all these religions. So don't pretend like it's just Islam, and don't say that, well, you shouldn't be stopping street preachers from doing what they're doing because it's going to have no effect on ISIS. Well, I never claimed it would have any effect on ISIS, but we do what we can do. Just everything Hitchens ever had to say probably has zero bearing on ISIS's actions. Probably would do nothing to stop ISIS, and he spoke all over the world. Probably not much Dawkins could say or do would have any effect on ISIS. I mean, to go over there and speak against ISIS, all that's going to do is put you on the hit list. So there's not much we can do. All we can do is stop this generalized acceptance of the moderate forms of these religions and these beliefs and the strictures that they impose on other people, that leaves the door open for these radicals to form. But misconstruing my statement, basically has me ticked off at the guy that did it to begin with. Because one, I didn't use the word assault, I used the word confront. And then trying to say that, well, you're not having any effect because you're not stopping ISIS. Well, what are you personally doing to stop ISIS? What are you personally doing to stop the Christians in other countries that are trying to have homosexuality made a crime punishable by death? What are you doing to stop the radicals in Christianity? What are you doing to stop radicals anywhere in any religion? What are you doing to spread reason and free thought and get people to think about whether these beliefs have any bearing in our modern world, whether we should hang on to these superstitions or not? Because maybe if we can get rid of the Christian superstitions and the Jewish superstitions, we can start working on the Islamic superstitions and we can end it all. We can move forward as a more enlightened and intelligent species, because instead of denying reality in favor of a theistic belief, we can start actually researching our world and start working together towards a more common goal and benefit for more of mankind, rather than just those who share our particular indoctrination from childbirth, our particular belief because of the area that we were born in. Maybe if we can end the bigotries and the racism that these religions create and cause, we can start ending some of these more severe radical forms of it.